Welcome, my 304 subscribers, Pro Wrestling Noah fans, as well as people who are just here to watch Shinsuke Nakamura because he's from the WWE. Welcome to my review of Pro Wrestling Noah, the New Year 2023 in the Nippon Budokan. Yeah, okay. So for this show, Noah has drawn its largest audience in like a long time. I think this moment of like having him retire, having this long drawn out retirement tour with like consistent match quality has drawn a pretty good crowd, but let's be real here. The reason why there are 9,500 in that crowd is because of the main event. And most likely because of Shinsuke Nakamura, of course, a famous Japanese wrestler, now known all throughout the world, I think, because of the WWE, the big machine that is World Wrestling Entertainment. And of course, you have the Great Muta who's almost going to retire. We still have like maybe one more match with Sting and Darby, and that's it. So, what a great opportunity to have like the most eyes ever, or like at least the most eyes that you've had in like 10 or 20 years directed straight on the product. But as I watched this show, I noticed that after like halfway in, after like 6 matches, specifically until Jack Morris versus Timothy Thatcher when it started to get good, Noah don't really put their best foot forward. They don't give much reason for either new fans or returning fans to stay in that first half. I can forgive the Young Lions match, that has to be there. It's like standard for every Japanese promotion, even DDT. But as we go to like matches 2 to 6, the match combinations are a bit shit. Like as I'll get to later, the national champion does not defend his title. And that's the number 2 title of the entire company. But we'll get to that. Let's start first with the Young Lions match up first. So first we have Taishi Ozawa versus Yasutaka Yano, so both Young Lions. Yasutaka Yano, despite being younger at 22, is the more tenured of both, while Taishi Ozawa, pretty recent. He's 4 years older, but he looks like he has more potential. Like American fans say this a lot, AEW, WWE, wherever, but when I look at this guy, he looks like he has it. I don't know why. He just feels like a star. Bruh, do you not have eyes? Do you not have eyes? Dude is clearly well built, very athletic, a bit ugly, but the point is he's big. And that's what wrestling fans really like so much, even if they try to deny it. For me, it doesn't matter. But as Young Lions, I can't really fault these guys much for the match that they had. It's okay. Yano is a very high effort dude. He does wrestle very well in all of his matches. I'm glad he got the win here. It's just that one spot where he tries to like get up the turnbuckle in like a fancy cutesy way, but it doesn't work much since it delays his flying crossbody that follows. But as for Taishi Ozawa, not a very good seller yet. I didn't feel the selling here. He also does too much like high air jumps in like the step over exchanges. Thankfully, this match was short, not necessarily sweet, but Yano ends it with a fisherman suplex for the win. Not the best Young Lions match. I've seen better from Toy Kojima as well as the DDT Young Lions, or the ones from New Japan. In Noah, it feels like it's just these two. They don't have a whole army of them like in New Japan. But yeah, alright match. It's pretty much a dark match for me, but that's what you'd expect from a typical Young Lions match. So yeah, after this, we have the first truly terrible match of the show. This felt like the usual Japanese multi-man match without much purpose. It did have some purpose in building up Yoshiki Inamura, but for a big show with 9,500 people, this isn't really a match that would retain a good portion of these people because, first off, what is going on with this booking? Because Shuhei Taniguchi had an attitude adjustment, right? He used to be in Funky Express, but they changed his character, they made him this More fierce, more serious wrestler. And now he's back with Funky Express without the gimmick. Like, what's going on? You could have had him in like some other multi-man match that would have suited him better. Just like the one with the surprise entrant, the one that panders to the old people. You could have had this Funky Express team join that match instead. Have them face off against the team with the surprise entrant instead of Congo. They didn't even let Yone go full Yone. I don't know if it's Yone himself who doesn't want to like fully commit to his gimmick, go full comedy, just be silly, like he did in Majestic. He was like gold in Majestic, as well as in his 1v1 against Taniguchi here. And then as for Saito, his age is still not on his card, so if you're so concerned about your age, like, who gives a shit about the age? He's an old wrestler who I think should be taking the pins and not Yone. Yone has literally more upside with how little that's left. As for the other team, Masaki Tamiya just showed up for work, phoned it in, did his stuff, and then went out. Inaba was a lot better here. He did more stuff, but it's still Daiki Inaba, not very exciting wrestler. And then as for the highest potential wrestler, Yoshiki Inamura, they made him look like a monster here, but the clotheslining spot where he like no-sold the stuff looked a little bit silly. Yeah, it looked a little bit silly to me. It looked like he was ready to take a poop in the ring. There was a lot of like big man slapping meat. Whenever Inamura was in the ring, it was the most entertaining. And then when Saito was in with anyone else, that was when it was at its worst. We have some teamwork, but not very inspiring. And the finish is pretty much just Inamura hitting Yone with the Musu and then for the win. I'm giving this a score of a dark match. I believe Inamura or Kitamiya could have been used better. Maybe against the national champion, Wagner Jr. You could have had the multi-man match. You could have had like a four-way, which would have been enough to justify it being higher up in the card. But instead we have like a useless, pointless match that wasn't even funky fun with Yone. Terrible match, dark match. I was entertained more with the Young Lions. What a terrible way to start the show proper. And then after this is what I think should have opened the show. It's Kongo with Tadasuke, Hiroki, and Shuji Kondo against Ninja Mac, Dante Leon, and Alejandro. So we've had a weird couple of months with the Junior Heavyweight Championship. I haven't watched Noah, so I didn't really see what happened, but when I saw the results, when I saw that Ninja Mac, the dude who won the title from Hayata, who was the former champion, who was injured, lost the title in about 11 days, probably due to some visa issues, since he's pretty much just a freelancer, he lives in America. But what's weird is who he lost the title to. It could have been anyone else. It could have been the current champion, Amakusa. It could have been Saiki Yoshioka. It could have been... You know what? If Daisuke Harada wasn't injured, it could have been him. But it had to be Dante Leon, who doesn't look the best, but he's one of the best like high-flying wrestlers in the roster. Very entertaining. Neck and neck with Ninja Mac, actually. And like flashiness and high-flying moves. He held the title for 43 days and then lost it to Asuka. Why not just have Asuka take the title from Ninja Mac? Like, add those 43 days in his reign, and you would have had like 2 defenses now. But yeah, in Noah, titles don't really stay on people very long. Like, they don't defend it successfully. It's kind of annoying. I'm okay with Dante Leon losing the title. I don't think he's like ready yet. He's not like a finished product yet. He's suited more for like an American or a Mexican promotion. But like just having the title like be hot potatoed and then like take an unnecessary detour is some bad booking. But this match was pretty fun in itself. From start to finish, it was very fun. Ninja Mac is the flippiest dude in all of wrestling and I love it. He is a breathtaking wrestler as well as Dante Leon, who might be better. Like, dude has a better moveset. Ninja Mac is just like good at moving like a ninja, not necessarily his moveset. It's mostly just him diving on people, while Leon really does like weird flips in order to strengthen his like moves. Like, he doesn't like land on people, like that's not the main purpose of the flippiness. Alejandro is like the luchador young lion, but I guess he's not like a young lion anymore since he got the pin. He's a whipping boy who gets the win by pinning Hiroki, but who cares? It's fucking Hiroki. At least it's not Tadasuke or Shuji Kondo. And as for the Kongo team, Shuji's the most serious among all of them, the most hard-hitting, and God knows why he's in the junior division. Tadasuke is the most sports entertainery. I wouldn't be opposed to him winning the juniors championship. And then as for Hiroki, he's pretty vanilla, but as a unit, these three work very well. We have some fun spots like Shuji Kondo doing like the snapmares, like the big snapmares on the high flyers. Ninja Mac escapes, of course, because he's a ninja, and he puts a stop to this. And Ninja Mac and Dante Leon, if they work together well, like, would make a good tag team that will change the pace of the juniors tag team matches. Like, book it, Noah. That's gonna be a really good idea. If you're not gonna put the junior title on them, if you don't like believe in them, why not just like have them work in junior tag team matches, maybe win the title, have 0 defenses, and then lose it right away. But it'll be a very entertaining run. And as for the finish, Alejandro the Luchador gets the pin on Hiroki, which is weird, but he's Hiroki. It's a flash pin, no harm done. Top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the Shuji Kondo Snapmares. Number 2 is the Shooting Star Press from the second turnbuckle. Like, how does a man get full rotation on this? I don't know, but Dante Leon is not like most men. And then number 1 is the Ninja Special with Dante Leon holding the 2 opponents. And this is why I think they're a good tag team. Just have 2 flyers fly all over the place and dazzle the crowd. Maybe sign them in like full contracts, have them move to Japan, whatever. TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard match. This should have opened the show instead of that abomination earlier. Speaking of abominations, this match was definitely not that. It was pretty good. But the booking decision to have your national champion be this low on the card and not defending it, even with a lot of like mid-carders free, just like Yoshiki Inamura, you have Masaki Tamiya, Hideki Suzuki was also free, but he's more upper mid-card. And we have Matsukazu Funaki, as well as Manabu Soya, who could have been in that multi-man match that I talked about earlier. You know what? Wagner versus Soya versus Kitamiya versus Inamura would have been awesome, with Wagner successfully defending by pinning Soya or Kitamiya. And have that higher up in the card. Let's not have any of the shooters there since they might want to win. But yeah, aside from that, aside from the big hole that is frickin' Wagner not defending the title, this match was really good. Saiki and Kotoge, after watching the juniors match that happened later, I think they're right where they belong in the card since they're not champions anymore. They had a very short reign, which is unfortunate, but I think these two should be in the singles. Like singles juniors division, now that Asuka's the champion, we would have faster matches, especially with Yoshioka. But I was pleasantly surprised by this, like, Mochizuki team. We have the fucking Mochizuki family with Masaaki Mochizuki, Susumu Mochizuki, and Mochizuki Jr. I think even the commentators had a little bit of trouble in, like, remembering them. But they start out with an awesome gimmick. They all have scooters. And they managed to have, like, a fast, fun match. Yoshioka can finally work against dudes who can keep up with him in the 2 younger Mochizukis. Kotoge pretty much does his usual shtick. Really tall, fast, juniors wrestler who doesn't break out of that. Wagner Jr. does his usual stuff, but they're a lot more unique than what Kotoge does. He's like the best sports entertainer along with Tadasuke in the whole company, I think. He does the count-off chops, he does the head turns, and man, if this guy was in a singles match or like a 4-way, he would have been fired. He would have, like, drawn some fans in, especially for such a big luchador. But no, they put him in a match here. He did fine, but wasn't really, like, the star of the match. I think this match spotlighted the Mochizukis more. Very good teamwork, and, like, with this father and son's gimmick, you have the built-in dynamic of, like, the care between the members. And yeah, I was shocked that they won. The finish is pretty shocking and was a bit unfortunate since the most talented wrestler in that ring was pinned instead of Kotoge. He gets pinned after like these sidewalk slams, like face buster sidewalk slams. It's a combo. He gets hit by like two of them, and I think Susume Mochizuki picks up the win. For the top three spots of the match, we have the Wagner spots. Number 2 is the delayed question mark kick, and like the teamwork that followed after that by the Mochizukis. And number 1 is the finish. Pretty epic finish. Fun, hard, fast sequence of moves. This match is TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard. I had some fun with this one, but pretty bad combinations. Why the fuck is the champion here? So speaking of bad combinations, this has to be the worst one yet. I mean, the match was fun since we have legend Hiroshi Hase participate in the match. Who am I kidding? He wrestled in the match and they did their best in featuring him. A dude who's not part of the roster, he's just here for like a one-off for the older fans in the crowd. But did that have to be against the upper Congo? Like, you have Katsuhiko Nakajima, you have Manabu Soya, you have Matsukatsu Funaki, and the Whipping Boy, and the dude that gets pinned, of course, Hajime Ohara. Feels very out of place here, other than being the dude who gets pinned. I have no problem with the finish. I think it's pretty cool that Hiroshi Hase gets the pin and the win against like this lower card dude who's probably not going to be getting many titles or any deals. He's just like a solid worker who does its job. But like aside from that, the match was pretty messy. Best parts of the match were when Hase was the legal man against anyone. The worst parts were when Kashin and Rongai, which is such a weird combination. Why Rongai here? It's a weird combination. Like, why have him in your team in the first place when he's with Peros and they don't even play up the comedy with him and Kashin? Unlike when Kashin was with the like DDT president Sanshiro Takagi. If they just played it up even more, that would have been enough to salvage the match. But no. Fujita looked strong, as he should, and I like his encounters with Nakajima, but why not just put them in like a 1v1? Like, the past couple of matches have been pretty good, but will they retain the audience? Like, this should be the show that you should be like blowing your load over. Have Nakajima face off against Fujita 1v1. And have, like, if you really want Kongo here, just have it as like a 3v3. With Kashin, Hase, and someone else. Like Kazushi Sakuraba, Hiroshi Hase, and Kendo Kashin would have been fine. But yeah, fucking Nosawa Rongai and Kendo Kashin got wins over Katsuhiko Nakajima and Masakatsu Funaki and Manabu Soya. Just sucks. If this is Nakajima's punishment, then I think you're like overdoing it. Have this guy higher up in the card. Have him face off against Fujita. That would have been awesome. And that would have made fans stay more. Or like have Hideki Suzuki do something. Yeah, my biggest problem with the card is just like they don't put their best foot forward, and I'm gonna have to give this match TV undercard. Yeah, great moments with Hase, but the rest sort of pulled it down. So yeah. And so after this, we have Timothy Thatcher versus Jack Morris. I think you had Thatcher here in a singles match in order to impress like the WWE fans who watched NXT when Thatcher was there. But performance and the match that they had here was like not conducive to that. Wasn't a very appealing match. It was a storyteller, it was pretty slow, but you could have had this in like a normal show. Okay, so let's look back at the previous matches. You could have had this in a smaller show. The last one had to be in this like big show since it's Hiroshi Hase. But like with that combination, it's like a lower show worthy match. The match before that, yeah, I guess it should be in this pay-per-view. The match before that can be any opener in any normal Noah show. The match before that should not be on any show, and then the first one is not the best Young Lions match, so it's like already a negative, but then you follow it up with another negative. So yeah, for this one, it's a limb working match. Thatcher works on Jack Morris's arm, and Morris sells it all right, but sometimes forgets to. He forgets the pain to do some moves. Yeah, he just suddenly forgets the pain sometimes. The wrestling is solid, but you're this far in the card. Like, have something more exciting. You have Jack Morris and Timothy Thatcher in the ring. Have them do more. and the selling was missing a little bit of intensity as well. So finish is Jack Morris coming back. He sit-down power bombs Timothy Thatcher for the win. Top spot of the match is just one, and it's the frog splash sell. That because of this, he isn't able to take advantage of the pinfall of the frog splash. And yeah, this match is like very average. This could have been on a normal show, not very special. And then the post-match is Jake Lee showing up, which is also a bit underwhelming since the match was like average at best, average to below average. And then he shows up, like Jake Lee shows up, a top star of All Japan Pro Wrestling, and then he just teams up with a mid-carder instead of like anyone else. Yeah, poor booking here. You could have had like a bigger match here. Oh my god, they could have stacked the fucking card, but they didn't. Yeah, so when we get to the Junior Heavyweight Championship match, I thought this was going to be the same song and dance as the first half. We had Hao/Asuka against Junta Miyawaki, who's like a former Young Lion, but this one really surprised me. It does feel a bit disjointed, like there's a lack of chemistry there. It's like sometimes the moves don't connect well to each other. It also gets a bit sloppy near the end. But this next one was a pretty good match, and by optics, I think Junta Miyawaki has like great potential. Like Kaito Kiyomiya's rival in the future level potential. Dude is almost like as big as him. They have like the same builds, but Junta's just more tanned. So yeah, pretty good on Junta Miyawaki. And then as for Hao or Asuka now, I actually thought he was a Young Lion since his gear used to be so vanilla, his look used to be so vanilla, but now he has those locks and those pants. And he himself is a great high-flying wrestler, just like Miyawaki. We finally get a Juniors Championship match that's paced differently, since Hayata always slows it down. Granted, Hayata was awesome in the match against Ninja Mac. That if they continued it like the way it was going, it would have been like match of the night, if it wasn't for just that damn injury. We have a weird spot though. It's when Asuka sort of seats Miyawaki on the ropes, and then he goes for the clothesline, but it's countered into a leg scissors over the ropes. This could have looked smoother, but I liked what they were going for. Maybe if this was on the turnbuckle, this would have looked better. Or just have him do like the outside the ring bump from there, instead of like such a danger spot like scissoring someone out. But then they follow this up with like one of the most creative spots I've seen. And it's like the drop kick, like step springboard onto the ropes to the guy on the apron, and then he's arm dragged outside the ring. You just have to see it because my descriptions are like pretty bad. Can't really visualize it well. Miyawaki also has this awesome finisher that I think this should be his finisher. It's like a suplex lift spike DDT, but Hao kicks out of it. But like this could be like a main event level finisher. Climax of the match is when we get the counterfest. I liked Miyawaki's facial selling though. A more expressive dude than Hao and even Konosuke Takeshita. But Miyawaki's actual finisher is like the Seonagi. Yeah, I guess it's alright, but it's pretty much just like a snapmare. I like the suplex spike DDT more, but it's more dangerous, harder to perform. I get it. Seonagi though, not really that good. But he does one on the apron, but he's hurricanrana instead. And then Asuka does like this complicated, like reminiscent of Wheeler Yuta's seatbelt like sequence in order to get a pinfall and the win. Top 3 spots of the match are like number 3, the Tornillo to the outside by Miyawaki, followed by Asuka's own outside dive. And number 1 is the springboard apron arm drag. So yeah, a bit sloppy on the climax. The finish could have been better. We could have gotten like Asuka's finisher or something. But I still like the match. It has like the juniors feel that gives us a nice change of pace from all the slow matches that Noah loves to do. The chemistry could also do with a little bit more improvement, but they'll get there with more reps. Pay-per-view undercard match. So after this is Sugi and Koji versus Marufuji and Kenta. So finally, the sort of match that should be featured in front of 9,500 people. So yeah, from the last match onwards, the matches like get good. This is why you watch this show. So from the start, You feel the story and the heat, especially between Kenta and Sugi. Because they have this like exchange of slaps, and it's just like hard slaps. We also get like trash talk in the middle of it, like a pissed off Sugiura. Like everyone in the match has the timing and the chemistry to have like a flowing match. It's not awkward like the last one or the couple of ones before this. These guys work really well with each other. Sugi and Kenta's strike fights are like beautiful exchanges with the specific big slaps from Kenta, like the ones that he does while like dodging haymakers. Kojima, who's gonna show up at Wrestle Kingdom in like the second match, I think, and is probably gonna lose, or he wrestles his ass off. His strikes are a lot stiffer than when he was in New Japan, and it's a shame that he's not gonna get like that respect in New Japan. I'm gonna cringe when I watch him get pinned by like whoever they face. I forget. I think it's Minoru Suzuki and Tatsumi Fujinami and Tiger Mask. So yeah, probably Tiger Mask is gonna eat the pin. I see Kojima getting the win, but if the other team gets the win, it's gonna be Minoru Suzuki pinning like either Kojima or Nagata. Probably Nagata. At least Nagata's there, so yeah. Marufuji still has one of the best chops in the business. It has like a whip motion, and unlike his like normal 6-man tag team matches or like multi-man matches, dude does more than what he usually does in this one. But he's also like the whipping boy for the champs, since Kenta is Bullet Club, of course. The teamwork like wasn't successful like in the match. Teamwork from Kenta and Marufuji was a lot better. I like the double team move that they do, like the powerbomb Shiranui. And as for the champs, they have great chemistry when like performing, but their tag team moves, like in kayfabe, like they don't succeed. They friendly fire each other, which is well orchestrated. We even get this spot where all 4 dudes are lying down, and this is like the prime spot to put the "This is awesome" chant. The finish is a Western Lariat for the win by Kojima. Great match, pay-per-view undercard, and for the top 3 spots of the match, it's the strike fight between Sugiura and Kenta. Number 2 is when they all went down. Great moment that got the crowd clapping, since they can't cheer again. And number 1 spot is the powerbomb Shiranui by the team of Kenta and Marufuji. So yeah, great match. This was like the first match in the show where like there are no negatives. They just don't go like all out. Like the one with Keno and Nakajima. That match was awesome. You should watch it. But this one was like pretty good as well. Treat Kojima with respect, New Japan Pro Wrestling, please. Don't let him get pinned. Okay, so after this is Yohei versus KZ, the junior heavyweight tag team champions, against Ogawa and Eita. Okay, so quite confused why this match went after the tag team championships. But I like Yohei. Ogawa's alright, and Eita in his last match really showed me something. So I guess Ogawa's teaming with Eita now? I don't know what happened in between. Yeah, but I guess they're a pair now. It's like an odd pairing. They don't get along. They're even pissed at each other. I don't know why they're in the match like as a team, but I like it. Eita is more fun to watch than Ogawa paired with Chris Ridgway, because they just like both slow down the match so much. With Eita, there's a lot more like entertaineriness there. He's a lot more fun. And as for the champs, I'm glad Yohei has a championship. KZ also really fits well with his gimmick. It's like they were made for each other because KZ does raps. Yohei is this like cringy playboy, appealing to the kids sort of gimmick. It's cringe, but it's alright. It's not the sort of music I listen to, but yeah, I mean, it's like pretty good. The match was fast-paced when Eita was in the ring. Very technical to start. But actually Ogawa, I've never seen him wrestle this fast before. He usually does, like, just limb working all the time. It gets kind of annoying, like limb working and cheating. I mean, he does some cheating here, but it's actually, like, kind of smart. The teamwork from Yohei and KZ are pretty good. They do the Motor City Machine Gun facial, and then their fuck-ups are just so funny. Because Yohei, like, throws Ogawa to the ropes. He goes for, like, a rope rebound dropkick. But then KZ, like, kicks Ogawa, and then Yohei just takes the bump. And then his partner KZ just like apologizes profusely. Great spot. We get like a lot of fuck-ups, but are you really gonna go the comedy route this late in the show. Like for me, this should have been before the Junior Heavyweight Championship match, just because of like the value of the titles. So about Ogawa's cheating, I really like his like low blow because like you can argue in this specific low blow that oh he jumped on my knee, I just fell over. He did like this attack on me and I like delay sold. It's a genius low blow, and I think I've seen this before, like by Chris Jericho, but I'm not sure. But I've seen Ogawa do this before. The finish is Yohei and Eita are left in the ring. It's 1v1. Yohei gets the upper hand with a clean drop salt. He attempts the finish, but he's like pulled and held in place. He's delayed by Ogawa. And so when he does the jump, he gets super kicked. And so Ogawa hits him with this, I think it's like a pump handle GTS. So yeah, we have another great variation to the GTS, followed by a super kick, which is I think a bit overkill. Like you already like GTS'd him. Just like go for the pin. This super kick here was just too much. He was trying to kill his opponent. So yeah, top 3 spots in the match. Number 3 is I'm gonna go for the comedy spot. The one where Yohei like just goes for a rebound dropkick, but Eita stops Ogawa's momentum. Yohei takes the bump. Number 2 spot is the low blow by Ogawa. And then number 1, it's Eita's finisher, the pump handle GTS. So yeah, just like the previous juniors match, finally it's different paced. It breaks up the monotony. Not saying that the like heavyweight tag team championship match was monotonous. It was actually not this time. But in Noah's usual shows, they usually have like wrestling heavy, slow, plodding matches like for the whole match. I'm glad that the juniors division finally can now change the pace. I'm giving this like pay-per-view undercard. So after this is the co-main event. It's for the GHC Heavyweight Championship, and it's Kaito Kiyomiya versus the leader of Congo. He is the most versatile wrestler in the entire company, and I think all of Japan. And it's not even close. Do you see Okada doing hardcore matches? Do you see Naito doing them? No, you don't. He has a questionable haircut that only he can rock, and it would look shit on anyone else. He is the former GHC heavyweight champion who's here to reclaim his crown. He is Kenoh. Okay, so main event time. This time they go the Kazusada Higuchi and Konosuke Takeshita route and go for 19 minutes. Or like less than 20 minutes. They pack everything in that time, prevent the match from being too slow actually, since that's the main event. Instead, they pack it in 19 minutes. It's like it's excused because they go for like devastating stuff, like halfway in. Like they go for finishers halfway in. Or those like former finishers that have been demoted by Kiyomiya. And for the uninitiated, Kenoh's whole faction is at ringside. They are the most supportive boys, but they never go help him out. Like they never cheat unless it's like another faction trying to fuck him over. And that's an awesome dynamic. Not every manager needs to cheat. You random player of WWE 2K or whatever wrestling game. And as for the match itself, it's a fast-paced main event where in the opening it's like a chess match where they like try to find for openings. For example, this spot in the match candidate, which is like a German suplex off of the top turnbuckle, like with Kenoh on the ground. Because Kiyomiya like does a European uppercut, it doesn't phase Kenoh. Kenoh has him scouted and then just like catches him in a German suplex. Really good spot. This is just like a warning why you shouldn't do your big moves, your big high-risk moves at the start of the match. And I love that they do it here. And man, Kenoh and Kiyomiya's matches are so different from the entire roster because they're like fast. They work faster than like with Nakajima there. And he's actually like a pretty small dude too. Like they're the closest ones to like an American Junior style that we have in Noah. Almost to the point where they do like this spot, like this waiting to catch a jump spot where like they don't shift the camera away from Kenoh that I think they should have. Kaito waits just a little too long before he jumps and it looks really like Kenoh's just waiting there. I think Higuchi and Takeshita did this spot better. And it's odd that Kenoh sells his shoulder like hard, like calling for Kiyomiya to work on it, but Kiyomiya doesn't work on it. They just like go straight to the bomb phase where like their strikes are harder and as smart as the match they had like 1 year from today. Like they had this match for the mid-card title that I think stole the show in that show. And yeah, Kaito tries to end it in 11 minutes. The Shining Wizard, the Tiger Suplex, and Keno sells it alright. He doesn't get up right away. It's not like Go selling the vertical spike though. That was intense. But he finally gets some life when they do the top spot of the match, which is like the sickest thing I've seen this year, like literally in 2023. And it's like the superplex to the apron, but Kiyomiya like falls on his arm weird, so he ends up selling that instead of his back. But I think he should have really extended his back because that like fall to the apron was so hard visually. But I guess the arm pain overrided that. Come on, Kaito. Extend that back. The climax is like an awesome series of counters, like a lot more polished than the match earlier with Asuka and Miyawaki. These two have better chemistry, of course, and it could have been like perfect if it wasn't for that like Shining Wizard that went over Keno's head, like visibly, very evident that it went over his head. They do callbacks of their previous matches, like Kaito's new finisher, as well as like the head kick and like Kaito falling in the same position he did when he was knocked out this time last year. The finish is actually pretty cool. It's like a Tiger Nelson suplex that sets up for the Shining Wizard knee strike for the win. Great match. This is match of the night. I'm already saying it now. It's pay-per-view main event despite that botch, but I don't think this is going to beat out like the last two matches of Wrestle Kingdom. It's going to be hard. Maybe it can beat out Jay White versus Okada, but we'll see. Kenny versus Ospreay, like definitely not. But who knows, they might botch and stuff. That might bring down the score. They might not mesh, but that's impossible. Spots of the match are number 3, the German suplex from the turnbuckle when Keno scouts Kiyomiya early on in the match. Number 2 is the Tiger Nelson slam. That sets up for the finish. And number 1 is the superplex to the apron that's just sick. So yeah, after this, we get the main event, which drew 9,500 fans. Or like usually, like maybe like 6,500 fans. Noah usually gets like 3,000 in these big shows. So yeah, it's the legend, the Great Muta / Keiji Muto versus Shinsuke Nakamura in Muto's final singles match as the Great Muta. So yeah, Nakamura comes in with full WWE entrance with Lee England Jr., who apparently grew out his hair. He was so baby-faced back in like 2016. And then this like drummer dude. And yeah, finally people are appreciating his entrance and his character in America. And I just have to get my jabs in there because this is one of the reasons I stopped watching the WWE. And it's that like main roster fans just shat on this dude so much. They called him like Shitsuke Nakamura. They insulted his sexuality and stuff. Yeah, main roster fans are the fucking worst. But now, since AEW is there, they love him. Since New Japan is more prominent, they love him. But like genuine love is seen in here in Japan. He does his full entrance with all of like the motions, the dances that he does, kneels in front of the Noah ring, kisses it, and then he does like his like lying down on the floor Michael Jackson spot inside the ring. It's followed by the Great Muta's entrance, but it's like understated. And like Nakamura's gear is just like the worst. Just have him go shirtless. This like full body thing just sucks. So of course the match is like slow, but that can be excused. There's a lot of stalling, which I understand. But I don't get Muto looking for weapons. That's like my biggest pet peeve of the match. And it's just Muto cheating a lot. Like you could have just had like a Keiji Muto versus Kaito Kiyomiya match where they like just go for submissions. The Noah crowd loves that shit. And just like have Shinsuke sell. Like have him go the Kiyomiya route and then like sell like crazy. Have it be like that storytelling type match. But instead they go for like this like spectacle thing. I didn't like the storytelling here. The Kaito match was a lot better though. You should watch that. Kaito sold his ass off for Muto. The wrestling here was fun enough, but they should have gone for submissions. Nakamura should have just sold the shit for this old man, instead of having him do bumps. and like having Muta run. So yeah, after some stalling, we finally get the submissions, but it's not as well sold as when Kaito did it, when he just like went insane because of the pain. Nakamura's screams really helped. But yeah, what's great about having Shinsuke face Muto is that Shinsuke's offense is like just a lot of kicks. Muta doesn't need to like do crazy sells and stuff. He doesn't need to like do flips, thank God. But yeah, just more submissions, please. But the real story of the match is when they go for the mist. And I was shocked that it went so early. But it's awesome that it's different colors, like red, green, and black. And then they go for like the big spot of the match where Nakamura runs the ramp and then Muto is like on the ropes on the outside, and then it's supposed to be like a clothesline inside, but like Muto does it like a delayed sell. He like falls down instead. It looked bad. They shouldn't have done this like spot at all. Like the one with Kiyomiya where he like does a crossbody, I think, was a lot better. Like, please stop like having this old man do like complicated bumps like the one they tried here. Dude didn't have to, really. But I like the cross arm breaker that Muta escapes from by using the mist. Muta's Shining Wizards look better here than in the Kaito match. I think because this match is shorter, he's less gassed here. And then they go for the finish where I think Muto should have like learned from his best buddy Sting. Because Sting did this in AEW, I think in All Out, where there was like this kiss spot where like Sting took the mist from Malachi and then like spat it on him as Darby went for the pin. But in this one, the kiss was like a lot longer. He had trouble pulling out the mist, probably because it's been used like multiple times already in the match. But he finally gets it. He spits on Muta and then he hits the Kinshasa / Bomaye for the win. 1, 2, 3, bye-bye, Muta. So yeah, that's his last singles match. The next one we'll get is the multi-man match in New Japan, followed by the one with Sting and Darby and some team that I don't know. But yeah, and then that's pretty much Muta's career. So yeah, as a match, this was okay, but as like a spectacle, this has to be like pay-per-view undercard, just out of respect. If you remove the spectacle, maybe this will get like TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard. So yeah, top 3 spots of the match is the Kinshasa counter to the Shining Wizard at number 3. 2 is the mist to break out of the submission by Muta. And then number 1 is the finish. And that's it. Post-match, Nakamura cuts like a very short sentence promo. It's just like something something, bye-bye Muta. And so yeah, they walk out the ring. Shinsuke accompanies Muta, walking out the ramp. They do their poses on the stage and then they leave. And yeah, that's it for Pro Wrestling Noah's The New Year 2023. So yeah, if you take into consideration like every match, this is still like an above average show, but just like a little bit. The first half really lets it down. It could have done better, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna have as much retention as like what a fully stacked card would have done. So yeah, pretty good show. These are my match rankings. I'm gonna review Wrestle Kingdom and then Dynamite this week, so stay tuned for that. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you do not know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos. And bye-bye Muta. Please watch my shit.